If you've ever thought about buying a short-term rental, I'm about to break down what I look at when I first view a short-term rental property. So I have this riverfront property. I'm going to use an example. It's a real property. It's listed for $950,000. It's just south of Bend, about 20 miles. It generated last year over $100,000 in gross revenue just from the short-term rental. So the first metric I look at is the GRM. It's the gross revenue multiplier. It's simply just the purchase price divided by the annual gross income. And in this case, that's about 9.5 times. The lower the multiplier, generally, the faster the property has the potential to pay itself off through the revenue. Second number I look at is the cap rate. This is what everyone talks about, but you can't calculate it with just the gross income alone. So you have to know the actual operating expenses. Once you subtract those expenses and calculate the net operating income, then you can divide the purchase price to get that cap rate. So think of GRM as your quick first filter, and think of the cap rate as a bit of a deeper dive. So let's talk about nightly rates on this specific property, because this is where a lot of people kind of get tripped up. One question, how much am I going to charge per night if I'm the owner of this property? And realistically, on short-term rental, it depends, because there's peak season and there's off season. For this property in particular, it brings in around $1,300 a night, and on the peak season. During the slower season, brings in around $300 a night. That's a huge range. So if you simply average those together, you'll completely misjudge the property's performance. And what actually matters is the occupancy, how many nights are booked at what rate throughout the year, right? That makes a little more sense. So why I pay so much more attention to the annual revenue than the nightly rate is because the nightly rate just tells you what's possible, and that annual revenue tells you what actually happened. So here's the real question. If this property brought in over $100,000 last year, peaked around $1,300 a night, and listed for $950, would you buy it? Before you answer that, there's still a few numbers we haven't talked about: operating expenses, occupancy, cap rate, and the cash flow. Those are numbers that I separately, good-looking investment it'll separate it for a good investment from a great one. If you want to break down the rest of those and actually underwrite this deal, let me know in the comments below.